and good morning. We're here today at Vickers Game and Casey Fields Farm Shop just outside Reading with the owner Alan Hayward. Good morning, Alan.
Morning to you.
There seems to be a growing demand for venison and an increase in stalking at the moment in the UK. How do you think people's perception of venison has changed in the last few years?
Dramatically, in particular since the new legislation came in 2006, the new hygiene regulations, which has been very, very late coming. And now all venison enters the food chain in a similar condition to pigs and lambs. And with regular inspections from all the authorities, vast difference and a big demand for it now.
Do you think the TV and celebrity chefs has had an impact on the popularity?
Totally. Ever since the royal dish, what was venison, won that award about 6 years ago. Was it the Queen Mother's birthday or something? I can't remember what the occasion was, but that was the start of it. And then with celebrity chefs getting hold of it since, and Mike Robinson starting up, he was one of the pioneers of it all. And then all the celebrity chefs got on it, and now every restaurant's got it on their menu. And you remember going back 5 or 6 years, over 90% of the venison in this country which was shot went abroad. That's down to less than 50% now.
How's the standard of carcasses that you received changed with the advent of formalised training such as the Deer Stalking Certificate Level 1 and Level 2?
Dramatically, and much to the benefit of everybody. Since the new legislation came out in, I think it was 2006, when hunters are responsible for the animal being in a healthy condition, not only before they shoot it, but with their cleaning practices being a lot better. And it's made a big difference.
Are you finding that there's been an increase in individual recreational stalkers bringing you carcasses?
We have people in nearly every day, all day, bringing in the odd carcass or two which they've shot. One thing that has increased a lot is a lot of these people are now having those carcasses cut, packed and labelled and taking back. And we do a lot of that. And we encourage it. It's people are eating venison in this country. It's fantastic.
That's a nice, diverse sort of alternative earning strategy for you.
Absolutely, yeah. We just charge for cutting it up. Have their name on it. It's rather nice. And
the trained hunter status allows you to do a full inspection of the deer prior to sale. Can you clarify who someone with trained hunter status can actually sell the carcasses to?
They can only sell it to a licensed premises that have a license to process it. That means if you take it to a butcher shop in the fur or in feather, you must have a license to process it in separate facilities. A restaurant the same. As long as they're licensed to do it, same with any manufacturing, they must be licensed to deal with it, and it has to have the extra inspection. A lot of these hunters think they can shoot a deer because they got a NGO course or BASC qualification, they can sell it anywhere. They cannot.
What constitutes an approved game handling establishment, or AGAG?
There's 3 different levels. Your local environmental health or food standards agency will come out and inspect a very small area, all you need, where you can't get any cross-contamination. Just bring them up, they're very helpful, they come along and see you and say, yes, that little area is perfect for skinning and cutting up a deer. Then you go on again if you want to sell it outside. That only allows you in that area. I always say county, country, continent. So your local environmental health will allow you to sell it locally. Then you want another inspection, which is your H2, I believe, which will allow you to sell it 30, 40 miles further on. And the next one is the full oval health mark, which allows you to export as well. And they all come with lots more inspections.
So it's possible that hotels, restaurants and pubs could quite easily become approved game handling establishments?
Yes, they only have to have the area, that's all. I mean, understandably, you don't want to be plucking pheasants in the kitchen where you're cooking a meal, do you? But it does happen, I'm afraid. It needs addressing.
What are your feelings on head and neck shots from both a welfare perspective and from a venison sort of production point of view?
It's the most humane way of just putting an animal down at any rate, and I do encourage it. There's no reason at all why anybody can't do it. You don't have to look for your animal. It doesn't run 100 yards and you don't lose it or go across a road or anything on somebody else's land. And with today's rifles and ammunition, silencers, bipods, there's no reason at all why anybody can't do it. Every hunter is quite proud to tell you what ammunition he uses and how he can kill his bullets 100 yards, and he zeroed it at an inch height, 100 yards. A brain is 2 inches, 3 inches. He should be able to do it. But don't encourage anybody to do it off sticks, anything like that. You need to be in a high seat or laying on the floor with your bipod. You can do it. It'll improve your stalking skills as well. To get within 100 yards and do it. Don't go try doing it at 300 yards unless you're really, really good, but it can be done.
Also, how do you find carcasses and carcass damage with regard to smaller and larger rifle calibers that you receive?
I don't think the calibers make much difference. Some of the bullets you use do. Some of these varmint bullets people shooting roe deer will, where they open up and rip the carcass apart. But again, a hunter needs to familiarise himself with what he's doing, what he's using. If you're going to shoot foxes and he wants to use a 55-gram varmint bullet, that's one thing. But to shoot in the ribs of a roe doe, it destroys it.
Is that the ballistic tips cause significant damage for
terrible
you?
things.
You write off quite a bit?
Yeah, you do, a lot, a lot. You know, and vets just cut away. And that's one thing with head and neck shooting. You know, you've got no mess on the block, you've got an animal like you're cutting up a pig or a lamb. But once you destroy a shoulder or the whatever, or the half the stomach, your block's ruined, it contaminates other cuts. And vets will just cut it off and throw it away. Hunters will lose out big time as this legislation takes hold even more.
What's the killing out percentage of a good healthy fallow deer?
Just over 50% from live weight to on the hook skinned.
And what is the meat to bone ratio of the same fallow deer?
It's less, there's hardly any fat, so just the bone is about 15 to 20% bone. And again, with the way deer are cut up now, with so much secondary processing done with French trimming and steaks and parveys and all that sort of thing, obviously there's a lot more trimming.
And is there much discrepancy between the species in terms of the meat to bone ratio and the killing out percentages?
Not really. No, it's more or less the same. There are obviously healthier animals, and different times of the year there's a difference, of course. You get something going through some hard snow, you won't yield as well. Overall, no, it's not a big difference.
Wild and farm deer in the UK to supply the demand?
Oh yes, we're still exporting 50% of it, but within a few years there won't be any for export at all. This country needs it. It's a growing demand. Yes, we've recently opened a factory in Ireland 2 years ago, which has been a huge success, which has addressed their problem, because there was a huge problem here in Ireland. It's coming down now, but they don't eat it very much over there yet, which obviously suits us. And Scotland, of course, they still haven't addressed the major population of the deer in Scotland. Maybe they'll start making a bit more effort to go up the hills and get some of them and bring south. We do need them.
And where does most of your venison that you receive here, where does that get sold on to?
Our biggest customers are restaurants. A lot of restaurants in London we serve. We put a little bit on Smithfield Market, not a lot, but a little bit. But we supply most of the local butcher shops around here as well, big wholesale range. We've got it pretty well sewn up in the area.
Good. And how does venison compare from a nutritional perspective to beef or lamb, for example?
Well, it's natural. It's far, far superior. I think given to it, a deer chooses what it wants to eat, and it'll travel to find it. And it's just so natural. It's lean, no fat. It's low in cholesterol, high in protein. It's a beautiful meat, and must be enjoyed by everybody.
What more do you think we could do to increase the public awareness of venison and game as a healthy food source as opposed to some commercially farmed meat?
I think the first thing we need to do is to educate people and our customers on species. To start selling venison, not just as venison. All the species are entirely different. They all taste different, and we need to start labelling it. Whether it's muntjac, roe, fallow, red, they're all different. And age is the other thing. Again, venison is just venison, and this is why some people do get disappointed. We've still got that stigma of, oh no, venison's it's expensive and it smells and it's very strong. No, I had it once, it's awful. Those days are gone. We only cut the prime meats. The older animals can still be sold, but they can be manufactured into the venison burgers and the sausages and all that sort of thing, while they're fresh as well, not hung for a month. You don't need it. Hanging days are gone.
How long do you typically hang yours for?
3 or 4 days, that's all. And we hang it in the fur, that way it reabsorbs the moisture at the hide, and we skin it as it's required.
And you've got a farm shop here on site. Have you seen any changes in the last year or two with regard to the sort of demand for venison and game?
A massive increase, yes. Well, we were only game many years ago, but we opened the farm shop 3 or 4 years ago. It's been a huge success. It increases all the time and still is, but the whole company's growing naturally. It's quadrupled in 4 years.
And what percentage does the butchery represent in your turnover in the actual farm shop itself?
The retail, the farm shop, it's a small percentage of the whole company, but a significant part. And it's one that is a great asset to the main factory.
And finally, what would you like to see happen in the next few years with regard to venison?
More customer awareness that it is a natural animal. It hasn't been commercially reared and processed. It's in the wild. It's had a great life. It's lived off all natural berries and seeds and that sort of thing. And it's just good for you. It's underestimated. And like I said before, fresh game, looked after nicely. All these hunters looking after their game a lot better than they used to. Don't throw it in the spare wolf Land Rover anymore. Hang it up while it's warm. All damaged game occurs mainly while in its own heat, just after it's killed. Hang your pheasants up. Hang your rabbits up. Paunch them. Same with your deer. Get the green off late straight away. Get the blood out. Get it hung up. Let it cool down naturally and into a fridge. And it's much better for it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.